Welcome, students. I'm excited to welcome Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. So glad to be with you.
Wonderful. Well, we're very happy to have you.
Oh, yeah. It's always a pleasure to be with the students. I really admire the students. And, I talk to all kind of folks, but I always feel like it's a special pleasure to talk to our young people.
Well, we truly appreciate it. Well, without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into the questions we have for you today.
Yep.
So what motivated you to become a leader in the community?
Well, I never sought out to become a leader, right? I just felt like there were problems that concerned me, so I wanted to be part of the solution. But my goal was never to be a leader. My goal was to be helpful, right? So, I remember when I was a law student, I had four friends of mine who I believed were this target of excessive force by law enforcement. And I believe they were charged with crimes they didn't commit. So I didn't really think of myself as a leader. I just started telling a bunch of other folks on campus that this happened. And we pulled together a campaign to support them. And next thing you know, I was kind of one of the leaders of it. 4 or 5 years before that, I was in Detroit going to Wayne State University. And, there was a community group meeting on apartheid, South African apartheid, which is the racial segregation system that existed in South Africa then. And I gave a speech about how much I was offended by apartheid. Next thing you know, they said, well, would you get signatures from other students to withdraw investments of the college out of South Africa? So I started working on the committee to do that. Next thing you know, I was the head of the petition committee. Next thing you know, I was the head of the I was the president of Black Student Association. So, I mean, it was never like, I'm going to be the leader. It always ended up jump in, help out. And then, people will ask you to be the leader if you, and then of course, I also say, don't be shy about saying you want to be the president or the leader of a group. Don't be, because you can't steer the bus from the back of the bus, right? If you want to steer the bus, you got to get into the driver's seat. And that means being in leadership. So don't be shy about that, but try not to do it for ego reasons or just to be seen. Do it because you genuinely want to be helpful to your community.
Wow. Thank you for that. And so another question. So on that journey or during that process, did you run into any obstacles or barriers on your journey?
Oh, tons of them. I mean, first of all, one obstacle was just getting people to care, right? And what I found out is a lot of people did care. They just didn't think there was anything we can do about it. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, well, racism's always been here. It was here before you got born. It's here now. It's going to be here after we die. So what are you all jacked about? Just relax. You know what I mean? And just sort of cynicism. And cynicism sometimes looks like sophistication. Oh, brother, you over here busy working on that. That problem been around here a long time, and you ain't gonna do nothing about it. So that sounds like, oh, this is a sophisticated person who knows stuff. No, they just they just don't want to do anything. You know what I mean? So you've got to know the difference between what sounds like sophistication and what's just somebody giving an excuse on why they're not going to act. And so you don't argue with them. You just go on to the people who do want to act. And there's usually a lot of them. Another problem is, learning how to engage people better. A lot of people who are fired up about an issue, they want to talk more than they want to listen. And it's more important to listen than to talk. In fact, one of the greatest gifts you can give anybody is your attention. So remember, if you want to persuade, you got to listen, not just talk. And then you want to have a plan. It's an obstacle not to know where you're going, because if you don't know where you're going, you don't know when you got there, right? So you want to sit down and say, what are we trying to do? And then you got to keep the main thing, the main thing. So if the main thing is to stop police brutality, or to stop the university from investing in South Africa, or to end apartheid, then you've got to remember that is your goal, and everything you do should point toward that goal, because it's easy to get off on a sidetrack. people start arguing about who's going to be this and who's going to be that. That's small stuff. You got to put the main thing to be the main thing, and always remind people what's the main thing.
Well, thank you for that. So last question, what advice or words of wisdom can you share with our young people that are beginning their journey towards leadership and community service?
Right. I would say there's all kind of leaders. There's thought leaders, and those leaders sort of like, they get their thoughts together and share them with people. And then there's organizational leaders, people who are the president or the secretary of this group or that group. And then there's movement leaders, people who just start, say, hey, let's do this. Who's with me? And there's all kind of leaders, but all leaders share the same thing, and that is leaders lead. Leaders do not wait around to see what's popular, what's expedient, what's going to make me some money. Leaders say, here's an issue, let's get out there. Let's do something. Leaders don't need to have all the answers. What they had to have is the will to act. And that's a critical thing about being a leader. Leaders don't need to know everything. In fact, you'd be a much better leader if you stop and say to the group, okay, y'all, I got a few thoughts on what we should do, but I want to hear from you. What do you think? And then truly listen, because they might have a better idea than you. The issue is not who has the best idea. The issue is what's the best idea, right? And then move out on that, and always, and never be ego invested. Be ready to give up your position if it's not the best thing to do for the goal, for the main thing. And so, these are the things. And then, leadership is not so much a title as it is a function. There's some groups that have a leader, and that person has got the title, but then there's somebody else in the group who's always come up with the best ideas, always willing to move out, always willing to put themselves, in harm's way to achieve a good goal. And when I say harm's way, criticism, you know what I mean, whatever, but they're like, look, this has got to be done, I'm doing it. So that's leadership, right? Some leaders, if you watch on television, are tall and handsome and, they seem like a leader. That's not a leader. That's just somebody who may look the part, but the real leader is the one who leads. And that could be male, female, it could be of any color, it could be anyone. And so don't ever think that you can't lead. Martin Luther King may have said it best, everybody has this drum major instinct where they want to be out in front. And there's nothing wrong with it. He said the problem is, be a drum major for peace, be a drum major for civil rights, be a drum major for justice. And if you're out there leading on what's right, it's all right, because the real leader, the true leader, is the servant. The truest leader is the servant. The truest leader is the one who's going to say, I'll stay late to put the chairs up. I'll come early to get the room set up. I will take notes. I'll do whatever. And so that is the leader. The leader that isn't the best speaker. Some leaders are bad speakers, but they're good planners and they got great vision. And some leaders are great speakers, but they know that they need help to do other parts of what the organization needs. You just get in there and serve, and whether you're bringing the cookies to the meeting or you're the chair of the group or anything in between, leadership is taking initiative and taking responsibility to achieve the goals of the group. That's leadership. And there could be more than one leader. So sometimes we want to be, I'm the leader. No, wait a minute now. What about this person? They did that. What about that person? They did that. Understand, like sports, if you play basketball, yes, you may have one person who makes all the points, but who's passing them the ball? Who's stopping the other team from scoring? Who's getting rebounds? You need the whole team to win, including the person who brings water bottles when the team's really thirsty. Everybody's part of the team. Everybody deserves respect, and everybody can help get the victory. So those are just a few ideas.
Wow. Well, Keith, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to the students. We really appreciate you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, sir.
Okay, my friend. Be well now. Have a good day.
You too now. Bye.